Nobody will ever say this to you. Not your closest friend, not your family, not the person who spent years beside you. They'll call you too sensitive. They'll say you think too much. They'll tell you to just relax. But here's what nobody ever says out loud. You don't think too much, you just think deeper than most people. And that changes everything. Because deep thinkers aren't just smart people, they're a completely different type of humans. They process the world at a level most people never reach. They feel things others can't feel. They notice things others never see. And the world has never quite known what to do with them. So today we're going to talk about what it actually means to be a deep thinker. Not the romanticized version, the real one, the beautiful parts, the painful parts, and the parts that will finally make you feel understood. Reason 1, they live inside their own mind like it's a universe. Most people experience the world outside them. Deep thinkers experience the world inside them first. Every conversation they have gets replayed afterward. Every decision they make gets examined from every angle. Every feeling they experience gets broken down, analyzed, and felt again. It's not exhausting by choice, it's just how their mind was built. While others move through moments, deep thinkers move through meaning. And that makes even ordinary days feel like something worth thinking about. Reason 2. They feel everything at a level most people can't reach. They don't just notice your words, they notice the pause before your words. They don't just hear what you said, they hear what you almost said. A change in someone's tone, a slight tension in someone's smile, a moment where someone looked away just a little too quickly. Deep thinkers catch all of it, not because they're paranoid, because their emotional antenna is always on, and that means joy hits them deeper. Music moves them differently, art stops them completely, and heartbreak takes longer to leave. Feeling deeply isn't a weakness. It's a form of intelligence most people never develop. Reason 3. Silence is where they are most alive. Put a deep thinker in a loud room full of small talk, and watch them go quiet, not because they have nothing to say, because they have too much, and none of it fits the conversation. Deep thinkers don't do surface level. They crave depth the way other people crave connection, and when they can't find it, they retreat into the one place that always makes sense. Their own mind. Silence for them isn't awkward. It isn't lonely. It's where their best thoughts live, where their real ideas form, where they finally exhale. Reason 4. Their mind never fully powers down. 3 a.m. Everyone else is asleep, but not them. Not because they're anxious, not because something is wrong, but because their brain found something interesting at 11 p.m. and it simply refused to let go. A question nobody asked. A pattern hiding inside something ordinary. A connection between two ideas that nobody has linked before. Deep thinkers don't choose to stay awake. Their mind just doesn't have an off switch. And while the world sleeps, they're quietly building something in their head. An idea, a theory, a solution to a problem nobody has named yet. Reason 5, they struggle to find people who get them. They can talk to anyone, but they connect with almost no one. Because real connection for them requires depth. It requires honesty. It requires someone willing to go past the surface and stay there. And in a world of highlight reels and small talk, that kind of person is rare. So deep thinkers spend a lot of time feeling almost understood, just close enough to make them keep looking, but not close enough to make them stop feeling alone. Reason 6. They see through people faster than people realize. Deep thinkers don't need months to understand you. One real conversation is enough. They pick up on energy, on the gap between what someone says and how they say it, on the things people perform versus the things people actually feel, and because of this, fake people drain them completely. Not because deep thinkers are judgmental, because they can see the performance, but genuine people, honest people, people who show up real, those people feel like home to a deep thinker, instantly. Reason 7. They are the harshest critic of themselves. Nobody holds a deep thinker to a higher standard than the deep thinker themselves. They replay conversations from 3 days ago. They analyze a decision they made 6 months back. They lie awake wondering if what they said came out wrong, not because they are broken. Because they care deeply about getting it right, about being real, about being good, about living in a way that actually means something. And that kind of self-awareness, while painful, is one of the rarest qualities a human being can have. Reason 8. They carry ideas the world isn't ready for yet. History is full of deep thinkers who were called strange. Too much, too intense, too different. And then time passed. And what seemed too much became revolutionary. What seemed strange became obvious. Deep thinkers plant seeds in conversations, in quiet rooms. Those seeds grow, not always in their lifetime, but always eventually, because depth always outlasts noise. Reason 9, and greatness, walk side by side for them. This is the part nobody romanticizes. Being a deep thinker is a gift, but it comes with a cost. The cost of being understood only halfway. For carrying ideas too big for most conversations, for feeling things too deeply for most people to sit with, for being in a room full of people and still feeling like you exist on a slightly different frequency. And that ache is real. It deserves to be said out loud. And here's the strange part. Most deep thinkers spend years trying to become less deep, less emotional, less intense, less aware. They try to laugh at things that don't feel funny, try to enjoy conversations that feel empty. Try to pretend they don't notice what they clearly notice, because after a while being different becomes exhausting, so they start shrinking themselves, shortening their thoughts, holding back their questions, acting less passionate than they really are, not because they changed, because they learned the world rewards simplicity, but something inside them never fully cooperates, because deep thinkers aren't built for shallow living, and eventually, their real mind always comes back to the surface, usually late at night, usually in silence. Usually during moments where life finally slows down enough for them to hear themselves think again, and when that happens, they remember something important. Their depth was never the problem. The problem was trying to survive in environments that punish depth. Because think about it, the modern world rewards speed, fast opinions, fast entertainment, fast conversations, fast identities, but deep thinkers move slowly, not physically, mentally. They like sitting with ideas, questioning things, understanding things completely before speaking, and in a world addicted to reacting. That can make them look disconnected, but they're not disconnected, they're processing. A deep thinker can spend 20 minutes staring out a window and still be mentally more engaged with life than someone scrolling for 5 straight hours. Because depth requires presence, and presence has become rare. That's why deep thinkers often feel strangely detached from modern life, not because they're arrogant, not because they think they're better than everyone else, because constant stimulation exhausts them. Too much noise, too much performance, too much pretending. Their brain keeps searching for something real underneath all of it. And when they finally find realness, they hold on to it tightly. A real conversation, a real emotion, a real connection, a real moment of honesty. Those moments stay with them for years. Sometimes forever. That's another thing people don't understand about deep thinkers. They remember emotional details with frightening accuracy, not because they're trying to, because moments imprint themselves deeply into them. A sentence someone casually said 5 years ago can still echo in their head. A moment of kindness can permanently change how they see someone. And betrayal. Betrayal doesn't just hurt a deep thinker. It rearranges them, because once they trust someone, they trust with their entire nervous system, not halfway. That's why deep thinkers become more careful as they get older. Not colder. Careful. There's a difference. They stop opening every door, stop explaining themselves to everyone, stop giving unlimited access to people who only understand fragments of them. And honestly, that's wisdom, because one of the hardest lessons deep thinkers learn is this: not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Some people only know how to consume depth, not protect it. And deep thinkers learn that the hard way, usually after giving too much of themselves to people who only appreciated them temporarily. But eventually, something changes. They stop asking, "Why am I different?" and start asking, "What is this difference trying to create through me?" That's when everything shifts, because deep thinkers were never meant to think deeply only for suffering. Their depth has purpose. They're the people who notice problems before everyone else does. The people who ask questions others avoid. The people who create art that makes people feel understood. The people who see meaning where others see nothing. They are translators for emotions most humans can't explain. That's why so many writers, artists, philosophers, inventors, and visionaries were deep thinkers first. Depth creates things, not quickly, but permanently. And yes, sometimes deep thinkers overthink. Sometimes they disappear into their own head too long. Sometimes they isolate themselves. Sometimes they feel emotionally exhausted by a world that moves too fast. But their sensitivity is not weakness, it's awareness. And awareness can become wisdom if they stop fighting themselves long enough to use it properly, because the goal was never to become less deep. The goal is learning how to carry your depth without drowning in it, learning when to think and when to let go, learning which people deserve your inner world and which people only came to visit it temporarily, learning that being misunderstood by some people does not make you wrong, and maybe most importantly, learning that your depth is not something to apologize for. Because one day, the same things that made you feel isolated will become the exact things that allow someone else to feel understood for the first time. Your honesty, your awareness, your questions, your ability to see beneath the surface. That's the gift. Deep thinkers don't just experience life. they decode it. And while the world may not always understand them immediately, the world quietly changes because they exist. Comment down below what you felt about deep thinkers, so that world will know.